All right, joining us now is Galen Druk, political analyst and host of the GD Politics podcast. All right, Hogg's plan kind of has the party split, with some people backing him and saying, yes, this is what we need, new energy, new blood, and others saying, let's not eat ourselves from the inside while we're trying to counter something really big. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the data, Democratic voters themselves seem to be supportive of the general idea. So the progressive data outfit, Data for Progress, asked likely Democratic voters, would you like to see older lawmakers in the party pass the torch? And 70% of Democratic likely voters said yes. So a clear majority there. But I think it's important to take a broader view here, which is historically, even when there is a lot of anti-incumbent sentiment and a high level of disapproval for one's own party, incumbents usually win. I mean, when we look at years like 2010 or 2014, when the Tea Party was in full bloom and there was famously even Eric Cantor on the Republican side lost his renomination contest, it was only 4 or 5 lawmakers who were not winning those primary contests in those years. So I think on one hand, we should expect this to play out. We should expect some competitive primaries. Ultimately, I don't think it's going to be a huge number. Usually more than 98% of lawmakers are renominated in Congress. But I think there is definitely that sentiment out there, and we will see it play out here and there across the country.
I mean, someone who kind of walks the line between now, I guess, an incumbent, but still has the brand of a bit of an upstart is someone you were just talking about. You've got this new video posted on the Silver Bulletin Substack where you say Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez could be the likely Democrat for 2028. For years since she came to Washington, she's been a firebrand for the right. She's always written off by a lot of folks as like too progressive. But we've really seen her kind of rise and get her stride. And she's doing these rallies with Bernie Sanders and drawing crowds. Are you convinced that she could get the support of the full party if she did run?
Yeah, it's a good question. And Nate Silver and I did a Democratic primary draft that we acknowledged was way too early.
Too early. It's too early.
It is definitely too early. But, you know, to be clear, the candidates themselves are already positioning themselves to make their run. So I think it's fair game for us to look at the moves that they're making and sort of analyze them accordingly. And here's what I can say about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She is well liked by Democrats. In a recent Yale poll, we see that about 60%, on net, her approval rating is plus 60%. That has her about tied with Harris and Buttigieg. So even though she has in the past been seen as a polarizing figure, across the party, she is well liked. She also has part of her base is going to be that more fervent, progressive part of the party that backed Bernie Sanders through thick and thin. And if a lot of Democrats run in 2028, you know, one of those clown car primaries where everyone just keeps announcing, I'm also running, having that really enthusiastic base of support as you move through the different primary states can be really helpful. I will also say, importantly, that she's pivoted her messaging quite a bit. You listen to these fighting oligarchy rallies, her message is mostly about the economy. She's not talking about abolishing ICE and the kinds of things that were very polarizing and frankly unpopular that she was talking a lot about in the first Trump administration. And so I think Democrats have evolved in terms of how they view her, and she has also evolved in how she's making her pitch to them.
Do you think there's something there more Democrats could learn from? We've been talking this whole hour to different people about the different messaging from the Democratic Party and the fact that it's complicated, right? It's a it's Easter Sunday, pluralistic party, and that sometimes makes it more difficult than on the Republican side, who do have a more unified message. But it strikes me at these rallies, you have someone with some working class credentials. She used to be a waitress. She's waiting tables, and she's appealing to people in language they understand in a very direct manner. Should the Democratic Party learn from that and do more of that?
I think the number one emotion that Democrats are feeling right now is frustration and anxiety with the Trump administration. And so one of the easiest ways to rally people to your cause is to critique the Trump administration. I think, as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has said in her own videos that she's posted on social media, we don't need purity tests, right? That's what she's saying. As in, this can be a big tent, but we're going to fight for the little guy, the working class, and we're anti-Trump. You know, I think that Democrats during Trump's first administration put themselves in a difficult position of just out of hand opposing every single thing that Trump said or did, which made them significantly to the left of the country on issues like immigration and some of those social cultural issues that they had difficulty explaining to the public in the subsequent years. So you can be anti-Trump and you can critique Trump, but that doesn't necessarily mean you need to take the exact 180-degree position on every single thing he says, because that can serve as its own trap for Democratic lawmakers.
Nuance, what a concept. All right, Galen Druk, thank you for joining us.